Hi everyone! Before we dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, turn on the notification buttons and share. Let's get started!
Some of the variables employed in determining the most dangerous countries to visit in Africa include armed conflicts, political instability, terrorism, high crime rates, health risks, and general insecurity. These are based on safety concerns for tourists, since many countries in this region have been affected by civil wars, terrorist acts, rampant corruption, and inefficient law enforcement systems. The following are the 10 most dangerous countries to visit in Africa, along with the contributing factors that make them high risk as of the year 2025. Number 10. Somalia. Factors: ongoing civil conflict, terrorism, particularly from al-Shabaab, piracy, lawlessness, and lack of government control in many areas. Somalia is among the most insecure countries in Africa because of unending conflict between the government and insurgent groups such as al-Shabaab. Terrorist attacks, kidnappings, and piracy along the coast make this country a risky destination for any traveler. Number 9. South Sudan. Factors: civil war, ethnic violence, instability, and lack of infrastructure. Civil war has marked South Sudan since its independence in 2011, punctuated by bouts of breaking out inter-ethnic violence. Political instability, inadequately developed infrastructure, and the acute shortage of basic services make travel by travelers unsafe. Number 8. Central African Republic, or CAR. The factors contributing to its danger include armed conflict, lawlessness, militia violence, and poor health care. CAR has been embroiled in a violent civil conflict involving multiple armed groups, which has led to widespread insecurity. Lawlessness and the constant threat of violence from militias make it unsafe for tourists. The country also lacks proper healthcare infrastructure. Number 7. Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC. The factors here are armed conflict, militia violence, widespread corruption, and high crime rates. The DRC is plagued by ongoing violence in its eastern provinces, with fighting between various rebel groups and militias over control of resources. Lawlessness, corruption, and insufficient healthcare are significant issues in this country, presenting several risks to visitors. Number 6. Libya. The factors making it dangerous are civil war, political instability, terrorist activity, and militia control of territories. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been in a state of turmoil, with competing governments and armed militias vying for control. The instability and presence of terrorist groups, along with the absence of law and order, make it a dangerous place for tourists. Number 5. Mali. Factors: terrorism, armed conflict, political instability, and kidnappings. Northern Mali has been a hotbed for terrorism, most especially by such groups as Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, besides other armed groups. Conflicts between government forces and militants, along with frequent kidnappings of foreigners, make Mali highly risky for travelers. Number 4. Chad. Factors: armed conflict, terrorist activity, political instability, and high crime rates. Chad faces threats from extremist groups such as Boko Haram operating in neighboring Nigeria and internal political tensions. While the capital, N'Djamena, is relatively more stable, regions near the borders with Libya, Sudan, and the Central African Republic are unsafe because of armed groups. Number 3. Burundi. Factors: political repression, civil unrest, high crime rates, and armed militia activity. Burundi has experienced significant political instability, especially since the 2015 attempted coup. Although the government claims stability, the country is still marked by repression, human rights abuses, and high levels of crime. Armed groups and militia activity make it dangerous for tourists. Number 2. Sudan. Factors: armed conflict, political instability, civil war, and terrorism. Sudan has, for a while now, been involved in unrest due to the Darfur War, internal conflict over power and armed forces. Travelers are at risk due to the possibility of terrorism, civil unrest, and political instability. Number 1, Nigeria. Factors: terrorism, armed conflict, kidnappings, and high crime rates. While the country has cities like Lagos and Abuja, it is not a safe place due to parts of the northeast and middle belt regions with terrorist groups, including Boko Haram, continuously posing threats of insecurity. Kidnapping for ransom also continues to be a common occurrence in rural and conflict-affected areas. Factors that contribute to danger: armed conflict and civil wars, militia activity, or ethnic violence are considered to be a great threat to tourists. Most conflict zones are unstable, and travelers are in danger of getting caught up in violence. Terrorism and extremism. Countries with active terrorist groups or extremist factions like Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, AQM, among others, are more dangerous. These groups often target government forces, civilians, and foreigners, creating a high security risk. Crime rates. The high level of violent crime, such as armed robberies, kidnappings, and assaults, heightens the risk for tourists. Some countries are especially known to target foreigners for ransom or violence. Political instability. Countries with unstable governments, coups, or authoritarian regimes are most likely prone to civil unrest, strikes, protests, and even violent clashes between political factions. Health risks. Poorly developed infrastructures for healthcare, a variety of dangerous diseases such as malaria, Ebola, cholera prevailing in a country, and unavailability of medical facilities indicate huge health risks for the travelers. These factors increase the danger of traveling, especially in rural areas. Absence of rule of law. Where the rule of law is weak or tainted by corruption, crime may well flourish unchallenged, and safety for tourists becomes an issue. Blatant lawlessness, especially in areas of conflict or under militia control, raises the level of risk to visitors. Natural hazards. Many countries are at risk from natural causes such as flooding, drought, or other environmental disasters that can compromise safety and make it hard or impossible to travel. Kidnappings and hostage situations. In some areas, the threat exists that travelers may be kidnapped by terrorist groups, criminal organizations, or armed militias for ransom. This is of particular concern in countries with active conflicts or weak governance.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, turn on the notification buttons, and share. Stay safe and see you in the next video.